Hi, this is Loren. I'm coming to you live from the Tanglewood Wellness Center. I've been asked to talk a little bit about multiple sclerosis. Is there a way that people with multiple sclerosis can heal? Because MS is one of those conditions that the medical people say is incurable. It's progressive, it's going to get worse, it's the body attacking itself, and there's really nothing that they can do other than treat symptoms. Let me tell you a little bit about my experience with MS. I don't have a tremendous amount of experience. I think I've worked with 6 people over the last 15 years with MS, and I'll tell you about a few of them today. The first one was a woman who was introduced to me by her employer. Her conditions had progressed to the extent that she really wasn't capable of working anymore. And her employer, and she didn't know what to do about it, and her employer came to me and said, could you help her? And so she referred her employee to me. The woman at the time was not willing to fast. She was afraid of it. She wasn't sure she could do it, whatever it might have been. So I coached her instead on making radical changes to her diet and essentially adopting a fruit and simple leafy green salad diet. So she lived on only fruit and only simple green salads. And if that sounds crazy, I've been doing the exact same thing for over 20 years now. And what happened was, within about 6 months, this woman felt so good she was able to go back to work and had basically eliminated almost all of her symptoms in just 6 months' time by changing her diet. Now that does not work for everybody, but in her case, because most of what was going on for her had not advanced so far, that was still a successful strategy. The second person I'll tell you about was a very interesting and dramatic situation. This was a woman who came to me in her mid-50s, early 50s perhaps, about my age, and her MS had progressed to the extent that she could no longer lift her right leg, so she would walk dragging her right leg behind her. And it was an interesting thing because our last location in the United States, this is our 4th location over the last 15 years, our last one in the US, our second one there, was a 3-story building where you came in on the middle level. And we had only 2 guest rooms on that walk-in floor, and we had 5 upstairs and 2 downstairs. And we had 4 other guests who were in worse condition for taking stairs than she was, so she actually wound up needing to be upstairs. And at the beginning of the fast, it was fine. She would walk up the stairs, she would lift her right leg with both of her hands and put it on the next stair. By the time she was about 10 days into her fast, she was too weak to do that. And one of my employees or I would physically carry her up and down the stairs every day, often multiple times a day. By the time she completed her fast, and she fasted with me for 32 days, by the time, and this is 32 days consuming only water, no juices, no supplements, no anything else. 32 days on only water, and what happened as a result of that, by the time she was complete with her fasting and 10 days of refeeding, she was walking up and down the stairs without needing to lift her leg with her hands. She was lifting her leg under her own power, using her leg the way it was designed to be used for the first time in several years. And that was a very exciting thing. The last person I'll talk about today was another woman, and this woman was a professor in the California university system, University of California at Berkeley, I think. And she was a professor there. She actually had very few physical symptoms, but her MS had progressed to the extent that she could no longer think clearly. And what this meant was that she wasn't able to teach. She wound up taking early retirement because she simply wasn't capable of doing her job anymore. So she came to fast, and she had intended to fast for 32 days. Based on my coaching, I had said to her, this is a very serious situation. In order to completely reverse this, you're going to want to spend at least 32 days fasting. And that's what she agreed to do. So she was going to spend 6 weeks at the center, as did the last woman I mentioned to you. But she came with 3 other women that she knew, and each of them had only intended to spend, and did only spend, 4 weeks at the center. On the 21st day, each of those other 3 was about to break their fast the next morning. The woman with multiple sclerosis came to me and said, I'm going to break my fast tomorrow too, and I'm going to leave next Saturday when all my friends leave. And I pleaded with her not to do that because I was confident that that would not be in her best interest. But she wouldn't be persuaded. She missed her husband and she wanted to go home. And importantly, she said to me, I came here because I had no mental clarity. And I'm now thinking more clearly than I have for at least 10 years. I've completely accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. My response to her was that, well, let me illustrate it for you. We've all heard about the straw that breaks the camel's back. So if we imagine there's the camel, that one last straw, maybe the 10,000th, who knows, straw goes on there, camel's back caves in. If the camel's back had a spring in it and could pop back up, if we took one straw off at that point, what would happen? Well, it would go right back to where it was before. I explained to the woman, this client with MS, that her symptoms, her problem was perhaps only one straw away from returning. Although she was thinking as clearly as ever that maybe she wanted to keep going so that she could take as many straws off the camel's back as possible. Again, she wouldn't be persuaded. She broke her fast, she went home, she was doing great, she was thinking clearly. What happened, though, was that over the following 2 or 3 months, and maybe her choices weren't optimal, whatever it was, about 3 months later, she sent me an email and she said, Loren, now I understand what you were trying to tell me. She said, my symptoms have come back. I'm back like I was before, not as bad, but it's come back to a certain extent, and I realized I should have fasted longer. And she wound up coming back about a year after her first fast, and she completed the second fast as intended, and to this day, 4 or 5 years later, she has been doing fantastically well, thinking clearly, functioning as well as possible. Because when she got home the second time, having had that first experience, she followed the coaching that she got about maintaining an optimal diet and the other lifestyle choices as well as possible. Having seen these three, just talking about these three particular people with multiple sclerosis, I'm confident that almost anybody, now it is entirely possible that if someone has a condition, any condition, that's progressed long enough and has deteriorated enough, maybe there will be some aspect that's not completely reversible. But we never know who or when that's going to be. I approach every situation as if our amazing body can completely cleanse and heal itself if given an opportunity. And multiple sclerosis and almost every other so-called incurable disease is no exception. The body can handle these things if it has the right opportunity. If you or someone you know is dealing with multiple sclerosis, you may want to consider finding a place that you feel comfortable with, that you believe in, that you trust, and go and do a supervised water-only fast, because there is no more powerful way with this or any condition to allow your body the conditions it needs to cleanse and heal itself. Thanks.